Hi, I'm Phil Constantine. This is Travels with Phil. We're going to Valley Forge National Historic Park in Pennsylvania, and that's the spot where Washington took his troops for winter quarters between December 19, 1777 and June 19, 1778. He came in with 12,000 men in his army, and about 1,700 to 2,000 of them died here due to disease, probably made worse by malnutrition. It was extremely cold here. They didn't have a lot of food, and we're going to take you to look around. These are some of the huts. This is Washington with the troops here, and these are some of the huts that were out there. Travels with Phil continues at Valley Forge, and this is just a little bit northwest of Pennsylvania. And here we have some examples of some of the structures that the soldiers built to live in. They would have maybe 12 soldiers or 2 officers in here, depending. Rank has its privilege. And this is what it looks like. Obviously, they didn't have the metal in here, but they would take logs, or I want to buy metal, I mean this, this area right here. But they would take logs, and then they'd use material to fix the joints there so the wind wouldn't blow through. And actually, for some folks, this may have been an improvement from the kind of conditions they had before. But it was still pretty miserable out here during the wintertime. It's very cold out here. And that's why it was such a rough stay, and that's why it's such a memorable place. There wasn't a lot of food around, but they pretty well denuded all of the trees, building the structures here, heating the insides of these places. Wasn't a lot of food. So it was a pretty rough situation out here. But part 1 from Valley Forge, Travels with Phil. And let's take a look inside with a reenactor from the National Park Service.
So here we are, inside one of the soldier huts. Now, as you're looking around me, you might think that these huts look a little rough, and they are. I mean, these huts were built quickly, and they were just built for one winter. So they're essentially shacks. But as rough as they might look, they're a huge improvement over what the soldiers experienced when they first came in. Because remember, when the Army first marches in, on December 19th, 1777, they're basically sleeping on tents, in tents on the ground. And for most of the soldiers, it's going to take them a while to build these huts. So for the first week or two, many of the men are still sleeping in tents in late December and early January, during some of the worst parts of this winter. But once they get the huts built, in comparison to a tent, this must have felt like a huge upgrade. I mean, look at this hut for a moment. You have thick walls all around us. They're designed to keep out the rain, the wind, and cold. You have logs that are chinked up in between with clay and mud and straw. That's good, thick, solid insulation. Just above me, you have a solid roof over your head, shingle to prevent the rain and snow from coming in. You're sleeping in a bunk off of the ground. They actually distributed tons of hay to the soldiers so that they could use that hay and straw to stuff mattressing. So you're sleeping on a mattress. In comparison to what the soldiers were used to living in, this was a huge improvement. However, there was a problem. These huts might have been very warm, and protect you from the wind and the rain and the snow. But they can't protect you from bacteria, can't protect you from viruses. Disease could spread like wildfire through one of these huts. Imagine 12 men living in one of these huts. You're malnourished, you're not getting fed properly. The men are outside most of the day doing various other chores and labor, building more huts, collecting firewood, doing all the other work that's required to keep this army going. They come in at night at the end of the day, overworked and malnourished. One of them starts to sneeze. How long do you think it's going to take before all of them begin to get sick? And that was the real danger here at Valley Forge. These huts can protect you from the elements, but nothing was going to save you from disease. And disease was the real enemy here.
Now, when you drive around, you see lots of spots out here, open spots with cannons, and this is the National Memorial Arch. Let me show you the video I shot there. Travels with Phil continues at the National Monument here at Valley Forge. It's a very big monument, based sort of on one of the ones in Rome. Finished in 1917, just before World War I. To the officers and private soldiers of the Continental Army, December 19, 1777 through June 19, 1778. According to the tours and the recorded things that you can call on a phone number out here, there's all kinds of symbolism. There's a big symbol, the Masons. That's out here a couple of times. A memorial arch. Received by Freemasons of Pennsylvania. Inside there's all kinds of, and on the outside all kinds of diagrams, some symbolic stuff, some nice text, the Great Seal of the United States on both sides. Sort of funny. They say that these are lotuses, which symbolizes all kinds of things. At night they close up and go underwater, but as the day comes back up, they rise up and open again. So you can find all kinds of symbolism there. It is beautiful landscape out here during the spring, summer, and fall. I imagine it's just lovely, but bitter cold in the winter, that's another situation. And to that effect, it says, "They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more." Some of the symbolism involved here may have had something to do with the anticipated upcoming World War I, which was just a year or so away. And then up on the top, it says, "Naked and starving as they are, we cannot enough admire the incomparable patience and fidelity of the soldiers." And that's a quote by George Washington. Here at Valley Forge, February 16, 1778. Travels with Phil continues on. With Phil continues at the Valley Forge National Memorial Arch. One of the nice things they do here at Valley Forge, they do it at several other parks, is but they have an available narration on cell phone, where all you have to do is just call. There's the number itself. You enter a certain number for different parts of the tour around the facility, and it will give you a story, some sort of narrative about what's happening. But that also means you can do that from home. You can bring up add the location on the internet, look at some of the pictures, and then dial up on the phone and listen to a narration about it. And you can do that from home without even having to come to Pennsylvania. And there's the number, 484-396-1018. For all the numbers, you can just start with 1 and then #2, then #, just go up until there's no more recordings. And I'm going to show you, or let you hear one of those recordings right now with some pictures overlaying it.
The National Memorial Arch, completed in 1917, is a tribute to George Washington and the Continental Army. This richly decorated monument reflects not only the time in which it was built, but also looks back to the winter encampment and forward to all the generations who would visit and respond to the arch's symbols and text. The site chosen for the arch is symbolic in itself. This intersection of Gulf Road with the outer line of defense is one of the highest points in the park. Gulf Road was a road on which the soldiers marched into camp on December 19, 1777. The outer line, over a mile of defensive earthworks, was built by the soldiers. On this site, and with its great size, the arch was meant to be a beacon. Before the areas surrounding the park were so densely developed, the arch was visible from quite a distance away. The design of the arch was inspired by the triumphal Arch of Titus in Rome, a monument erected to commemorate a great victory. Certain features of the National Memorial Arch are modeled on the earlier ones, such as the female winged figures and the goddess of war over the arch itself. Other features directly reflect the encampment. On the west side are the words from General Washington as he expressed his tribute to the soldiers. Naked and starving as they are, we cannot enough admire the incomparable patience and fidelity of the soldiery. Perhaps because of the wonderful inscriptions and symbols, the National Memorial Arch is one of the most popular features in the park and the subject of thousands of photographs. However, one of the most intriguing carvings is not yet explained. It is the set of 4 masked faces with ancient helmets. There are many interpretations of the meaning of these symbols.
Phil continues outside the National Memorial or Monument. It's sort of interesting. There's a road that goes through here, and the road is paved on either side of the monument with regular asphalt, but right here in front it's cobblestone. And it's sort of interesting. Traffic comes up at a reasonably good clip, but when they come up to this part up here, it's a case of everybody slowing down. And you wonder almost if that's intentional. I mean, obviously you want people to slow down where folks might be walking by, but I mean, literally, it may be that they left the cobblestone there for folks to slow down. But in any case, it's almost symbolic, as if folks are slowing down as part of a tribute to the people that were here at Valley Forge. At least it struck me as whether or not it was intentional or not, it does seem to be an appropriate symbolism. One of my favorite characters during the American Revolutionary War was Mad Anthony Wayne. They called him Mad because of some of his actions out there. He has a very nice statue out here. You should read up on this guy. He's an interesting person. And as you come around, there's all kinds of stuff out here. I don't have enough time to show you all of this. In fact, this is going to be almost a 14-minute video as it is. Washington set up his headquarters, and this is the actual building that you're going to see here that he used for his headquarters. Here's a ranger from the Park Service.
When Washington's headquarters at Valley Forge opened as a museum in 1878, the idea of the people that opened it were that the building would represent, all the men and women who served at Valley Forge, would represent Washington. The other thing about that building that's really kind of neat is that it's the very same building that was here. It changed very little, so it's a nice piece of architecture. It also does what it's supposed to do in the sense that it really does represent the encampment. It's something that people can walk in, and it's actually the building that was there in 1778. So it's kind of good in that way. And when you go inside, although it doesn't have one stick of furniture in there now that was in there then, that is the same building that General Washington rented, that all those soldiers came into for meetings. The idea behind the people that opened it was that you could go into that building, contemplate what went on there, wonder at all the work that people did. And of course, they, at least then, really appreciated what Washington tried to do and how well he succeeded. As a piece of architecture, is really a good building. The stonework is laid on nicely, ranges, courses, vertical accenting, brick accenting. It really is a nice piece of architecture. If I were driving down the road somewhere and I saw that one along the street, I'd be, whoa, gotta stop and look at that. So, really a neat building in those senses.
One of the generals that was really important here was Major General Frederick Wilhelm von Steuben. He's the guy that trained the soldiers on how to march, properly conduct themselves. They have a real nice statue for him, and you can see one of the parade grounds out here. Again, there's lots and lots and lots to see out here at Valley Forge. Come to my website, you see more pictures. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up by clicking on the button below. You're welcome to leave comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And finally, if you'd like to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel by clicking the button over on the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you again for watching.